Hello, welcome once again to Pale Blends and Beyond. Thank you for joining us today. If you do like the programming you see here and the musicians and artists that I visit with, please be sure and hit the like button below and also subscribe to the channel. Don Powell is an English musician, most known as the long-tenured drummer for glam rock, hard rock band Slade. Don kept the beat from 1966 to 2020. Slade were one of the most popular bands in the 70s with 17 consecutive top 20 hits and 6 number ones. The band's single Merry Xmas Everybody has sold well over 1 million copies. And yes, Slade wrote and recorded Come On Feel the Noise a whole decade before Quiet Riot covered it. In 1992, after the departure of Noddy and Jim Lee, Don formed Slade II. The band would release an album in 1994 and several singles. Don's biography, Look What I Dun, My Life in Slade, would be published in 2013. More recently, Mr. Powell has played in the groups QSP, the initials of Suzi Quatro, Andy Scott, and Don, the Occasional Flames, Don and the Dreamers, and the Don Powell Band. Well, welcome, Don.
Hey, Greg, how are you? This is fantastic. Technology today is amazing. It is.
I was just talking to a guy the other day about that. Years ago, I would have had to travel to where you are, or you travel to me,
Exactly.
to do this kind of thing. But we can do it now.
Yeah, I mean, I know, but sometimes I have the telephone interviews. I
Yeah.
remember
Yes.
before all this started, Greg. I mean, we got I was doing an interview with a Russian radio station, and I
Right.
had to wait about an hour for a connection. And
Uh,
as soon as we made the connection, we got cut off. And
as soon as you got,
that's it.
did you?
End of interview.
End of interview. And even then, you got the audio, but you didn't get the visual with the phone interview. You just
Yeah.
got the, so to do this is like, I mean, I feel like I'm right there with you.
It's
Uh,
fantastic, and who would have thought, So it's things the way things are changing, but just in general. And I remember going into the studio, was it last year, and I arranged to go in the day before, Greg, and I arranged to have the young assistant to be there to help me with a place in the studio and sort the mics out. And I walked in carrying some of my drums, and he was looking at me really strange. I said, "Is there a problem?" He said, "Are you going to use real drums?" And I thought, well, that's the way things are today. I have to get used to this.
yeah, this is my set from the Stone Age. I'm bringing with me. Right.
That's it, yeah.
Right. Well,
Incredible, isn't it?
we'll take us back to the beginning. Where were you born, Don?
A place called just on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. It's in the middle, in the centre of England. It's about 10 miles north of Birmingham. Yeah, I was born there in 1946. It was um, it was just being rebuilt. It was very heavily bombed during the war, and it
Right.
was just being rebuilt. So there's a lot of sort of construction and different work going on. So as
Did,
you can imagine,
right. Did
and
you play? Did you as a kid play in any of the bombed out buildings?
oh yeah, we used to go after school for a crafty cigarette. We used to sort of sneak in there, sort of thing, to buy our sort of one cigarette from the newsagents and share it,
Right, right, right. I've heard a couple of stories about that, going back
Yeah.
to that. Well, was there early on, was there music in the household? Do you remember hearing music growing up?
Yes, I mean, I have an older sister, but she was like four years older than me, 5 years older than me, and it was like Sunday mornings in our house, or Sunday lunchtimes. Dad would go to his favorite bar for a glass of beer, while my sister and mom were sort of doing the housework, and we were sort of introduced to Elvis Presley. Well, that was my first introduction to the '78 records, the
Yeah.
big ones,
Yes,
which I
yes.
which I still have, Greg. You
Do
know,
you? Do you?
I still have them, and I couldn't believe. I thought, who is this guy? Sort of thing.
My
But
my dad
around,
my dad had a hi-fi stereo, I remember,
yeah,
and he had a lot of 78s. had a lot of those. But I remember he would stack like maybe two or three on top of each other,
That's
you
it.
know, and then one would drop down. I remember
That's
that,
it.
and play it, and then
Yeah,
the next
that's it.
one.
That was the same, Greg, the same
Yes,
in our household, you know.
yes,
And
yes.
I couldn't believe this guy. I thought, is this guy from another planet? You know, sort of thing. And because we were so very used to playing sort of very easy listening stuff in those years in England, you know. So what was in the top 20 and things like that, but a lot more easy listening.
You know,
But
I have a couple of things here, and I pulled it out for this in case you brought that up. Now this may be even predating that. This is this one's called Great Britain, the Great British Experience, uh,
okay,
and it's got
well,
the
yeah,
dog
got
there with
the
the,
dog with yeah.
and
Wow,
it's got a bunch of in party mood, Devil's Gallop, PC 49 theme is on here, Cavalcade of Youth, a
that's
lot of
it.
that
Yeah,
older,
that's it.
older, you know, easy listening, easy
Yeah,
listening.
yeah. Well, I normally go around to sort of junk shops and charity places, Greg,
Yeah,
to buy 78s. You
yes.
know, sort of. I just missed. I mean, it's been a few years ago now. I missed getting a jukebox to play 78s. You
Okay.
know,
And,
I'd
and
never
then this,
seen anything like that before.
and then this one too is called Cornflakes,
Oh
uh,
wow!
the golden age of easy listening
Yeah,
music. And it's got some art like Laurie Johnson, Johnny Gregory, Frank Cordell, uh,
yeah.
Les Baxter. Yeah, some of those, you know, Ron
I,
Goodman.
I would love to get those, Greg. I would love to get those.
I love, so it shows I have a wide variety of taste, you know, in music, but
Yeah,
I do like that easy listening sound. Well,
yeah.
were either one of your parents musical at all?
Not really, no. I mean, my father used to sing. Oh, he's always like Sunday lunchtimes in his local bar. He would get up and sing sort of like opera type songs, you know, around the time. Sort of. I don't know whether you know these singers. A guy named David Whitfield, which was a sort of a mini opera singer from way back from the 50s, and things like that. You know, sort of. No, that was it as far as the musical part of my family.
Okay,
Mm.
were the drums the first instrument you learned to play?
Yeah, no, what it was, I was in the Boy Scouts, Greg, and I wanted to play drums, but I had to play the bugle first.
Oh,
That
okay.
was the, you know, I couldn't get a sound out of it. You know, I used to stand at the back and just puff my cheeks out, and just pretend I was playing.
Yeah.
You know, I got found out, and I was then put to cleaning drums. You know, before I could play. And would you believe? I wish I still had them. My first pair of drumsticks I
Uh-huh.
made myself from the stem of an artificial Christmas tree.
Right.
I I spent months with these Glenn, sort of, yeah, Greg, sort of shaping them and smoothing them off and varnishing them. And the thing is, Greg, that I didn't know about wood in those days, so the first time I used them, they broke.
Oh
Uh,
no, did they?
I talk about this. I think I almost cried. I spent months with these things, but
You,
yeah,
you know,
it's all part of learning.
I tried to play like a flute, and I
Okay.
never could. I don't know if I'm not blowing right or what, but I was like you. My cheeks would get like this,
Yes.
and no sound would come out. You know,
Nothing at
nothing, nothing.
all.
To this day, I cannot whistle. I cannot whistle.
Really, I can just
No,
about do that.
you
But
know, and I don't know what it is about my, you know, the way I'm
yeah,
doing my lips, or
no, there's a certain technique, isn't
yeah,
there? There's
there
a
is.
technique because on some of the when we made Slade made the movie in the 70s, and with the soundtrack we used a brass section, and it was great. I just stood in the studio watching these guys, and it was just phenomenal. And that
Yes,
they were only jamming.
right.
It wasn't. They listened to the basic take that we'd done, which we wanted them to sort of augment on, and it was just fantastic. And the way they were ad libbing and adding things that we never even thought of,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
was just phenomenal to watch these guys.
Real organic. You know, it sounds.
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
fantastic.
yes.
Okay.
Well,
I'm
can
with what I call real musicians.
right, right. And to be able to do that, you're right. Well,
Yeah.
can you remember the first single or album that you got yourself? Can you
Yeah,
remember?
it was my very first single was Problems by the Everly Brothers.
Oh, okay. All right.
I still love them to this day.
Yeah.
And then when the Cathy's Clown came out, I freaked actually. I freaked over the
Yeah.
drum pattern on Cathy's Clown, and
The
oh,
harmonies, the harmonies. Yeah.
yeah, oh,
Yeah.
phenomenal! It
Yeah.
just seems so natural,
Right.
but like no effort. It just incredible.
You know who I've got like a back-to-back, interview. You know who I just talked to last week?
Okay.
Frank Allen of The Searchers.
Oh, Searchers, yeah. I know
Yeah.
Frank really
Yeah.
well.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if I can explain, Greg,
Sure, sure.
about 3 times a year, about 30 of us, musicians, actors, writers, we get together and have an all afternoon lunch at like a pub in London, and Frank's always there.
Okay. All
We always
right.
get together, and there's a drummer there, Greg. He doesn't play anymore. He's past it. He's too old now. He says he was just a session musician. Do you remember? It was a hit record, a mega. I'm sure it was #1 in the States. Telstar,
Yeah,
but
the tornado. The
yeah, that's
tornado.
it. It was the drummer on that he played. He
Oh,
was in the Tornadoes, Clem
okay.
Cassini, and
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, and he went in. They only did a few tours, I think, and he went into session work. He's played drums on over 200 hit records,
Wow. Yeah.
65 #1s.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
done, he was telling us because in those days he was just booked to do a session, so he'd turn up at the studio. He never really knew who he was going to play with, and the first record he did was an instrumental by Paul McCartney's brother, the Scaffold,
Yes.
Lily, Lily the Pink. Lily
Yes.
the Pink.
Yes.
He played drums on that, and
Mike, and then he was solo, Mike McGear. He went by
that's it,
McGear.
that's
Yeah,
it, that's
yeah,
it, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And he played drums on that, and he got his let me work it out. He got his, I think it's about $60 for that. And then he packed his drums away and he's booked to go a studio in the afternoon, and it was Tom Jones. It's not unusual. So
Oh, wow.
he played on two #1s on the same day.
On the same day. And
Yeah, and
Clem,
he got, I think it was $100 for the two.
oh my gosh. Oh
But
my gosh.
that's what it was. Then it was just a session thing. I believe now, I think depending who they are, that they can demand percentages. I'm
Yeah.
not really sure, Greg, but he's got some great stories. He
Oh
was
man, I
saying,
would love to talk to Clem. Yes, that's
oh,
I
well,
would.
if you want me to arrange it, he's got some
Oh,
great
oh yeah.
stories, Greg.
Yeah, if you could put in a good
Let me just make a
if
note.
you could put in a good word for me.
I'll make sure.
Okay.
But
And if you
yeah,
have to if you have to twist his arm a little bit, that's okay too.
yeah, I'll do that. Yeah,
Just kidding.
I'll tell you what, it is great. I mean, sort of, he was
Oh,
telling us, I think he's in,
yeah,
they toured the States, back in the early 60s, but it was
yeah.
on the Greyhound bus. So no private planes or anything like that on the
Right,
Greyhound bus,
right.
but
Well,
no, it's
well,
been fantastic though.
yeah. Well, real briefly, speaking of session musician, have you seen the latest Led Zeppelin
No, I
movie?
haven't yet. No,
I don't
God.
know if it's
Well,
over there yet. It came here first.
I've heard of someone actually when I was filming the Dreamers video 2 days ago. Eric, the vocalist, he mentioned it to me
Okay. Yeah.
because John Bonham and Robert Plant are from the same hometown.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Exactly. Yeah.
we used to play
Yeah.
all the pubs and clubs
Right.
together
Yeah.
back in the 60s.
That's
And,
right.
and I must tell you this story. On
Sure.
Sunday nights, we used to play this restaurant that was in our hometown in a zoo. There's a restaurant, and so we
Inside a zoo.
drive into this gig. You can hear all the animals howling, you know. And
Uh,
we hadn't seen Robert Plant for months. We always used to play the pubs and clubs together. We hadn't seen him for months. And he came that night, and we were
Oh,
talking to him, and we said, "What are you up to, Robert?" He said, "Well, Jimmy Page has asked me to join this band.
oh,
As it was like the Yardbirds that initially, he said he's asked me to join the Yardbirds. He said, I don't particularly like the material. He said, but it means I can go to America, so I'm going to take the job.
right, right,
And the rest is history.
right.
And they were after a drummer, and obviously with Bonham around the same time, we all knew each other. And he said, I've got John Bonham in the lineup as well."
Yes,
And just
yeah,
incredible the way these things happen.
right. Yeah, and
Yeah,
Jimmy Page, that's what I thought of when you were talking about session musician. How
yeah.
how many sessions he played on, early
Well,
on.
he was the same time as Clem. They used to
Yes.
do sessions together, play on the same sessions. And when we did our very first recording audition, it must have been about 1963, I think, Greg. And the guy who was producing it was a session drummer as well, called Bobby Graham. And that
Oh, yes.
they played a lot of him and Jimmy Page, like a lot of sessions together. And he said, we didn't know Jimmy then. He said, "Well, I've got this session guitarist friend who's just started writing songs." He said, "I'll bring him down and play. He can play you some of his songs." And he
Yeah.
came down, Jimmy, with his guitar and his amplifier, and he played us. We recorded a song called "Little Nightingale," and we recorded him.
Yeah.
He actually wanted to play on the session, but we wouldn't let him.
Oh, is that right? Is that
It's
right?
quite funny when you think back. No, no, we're going to do it ourselves. You
You
sit down and just listen. I mean, it's incredible now when you think back.
right, right. And
Yeah.
he played on the Goldfinger, Shirley Bassey's
Yeah,
singing
he
Goldfinger.
did everything. He played
Yeah,
on
yeah,
everybody's.
yeah.
It's just amazing.
Right,
You
right.
know,
It totally was. It's worth watching if you get a chance. Well,
I've heard so much about it. I have made a note. Like I said, when I was filming with the Dreamers about 2 or 3 days ago, Greg, Eric, the vocalist, he said, "You must get it. You must see it."
uh,
Yeah, he said you'll relate to it a lot, because
yeah.
knowing Bonham and Robert Plant. Oh yeah, I must tell you this story. We were playing in Dallas on One American tour, and we never thought about it. Zeppelin had been there about 4 or 5 days before, but apparently we didn't know. They secretly stayed behind to come to our show.
Did they?
We were having a great night. All of a sudden, these apples, oranges, bananas were being thrown on stage. What we saw them after. John Bonham and Robert Plant had been out and bought fruit to throw at us while we were on stage. Real
Did they?
friends, eh? Real friends.
Did they? What year was that? Do you remember?
That would have been about 74, 75, I think, right?
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
when we were
That
on
was
Jimmy.
that was before I started going to concerts. Yeah, so that
Okay,
was a
that
little
was,
bit.
yeah, because we used to do at least 3 or 4 tours a year in the States.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know, so
speaking of live shows, can you remember the first live show that you attended that you went to?
I went to, yeah, I tell you, they used to have these package tours in England, and I went with my school friend, Swin. It was, do you know a thing called Billy Fury?
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes, I do.
Billy Fury was top of the bill. Then there was Joe Brown and the
Oh,
brother, yeah,
Joe Bro and the Brothers.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Marty Wilde,
Oh,
and
Marty. Yeah,
I was hooked from that day, Greg.
yeah. You were hooked.
I was hooked from that day. Just unbelievable. They only played about probably 10 minutes or 15 minutes each, sort of thing.
Yeah,
But I was mesmerized.
yeah.
Yeah, that was it for me.
That was it. Yeah. Well, they
And
used to have those package tours. Yeah.
my education and my normal life went out the window.
After that, you were bitten, as they say.
That's it.
Yeah.
I was struck.
Well, what were some other early musical influences bands for you?
We were members of this youth club, Greg, and it was called the dance. Then the youth club leader used to have the dance about 3 times a year at the local Baths Hall. where they would put the cover over the water, and this particular bath hall had a stage, and the first band that we supported was the Hollies.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Graham Nash was still in the lineup then, and of
Yeah.
course there's no road crew then. They came in carrying their own gear, and
Right. You had
yeah,
to. Yeah, that's right.
there was no separate dressing room, no
No.
star billing or anything like that. It was the dressing room was the store covered on the side of the stage, and
Yeah.
everybody was in there. There were no egos then. Greg, it was fantastic. And
Right.
then the next group we played with was Cream. You know,
Oh, okay. Right.
and of course, like on that bill, there was Cream at top of the bill. Then there's us, and then Robert Plant. With his band, and we're all
Yeah.
in the same dressing room. And in those days, Ginger Baker looked like a mad Viking with his long red hair and his beard. And he had his double Ludwig kit set up in the storeroom. Nobody could move, you
Yeah.
know, and because of the way he looked.
Yes. Yes. Right.
He was quite menacing. So
Yes.
everybody was scared to ask him to move the drums.
Right. Right.
But Robert Plant went up and asked him. He said, "Mr. Baker," he said, "would you mind just moving your drums just over a bit?" I won't repeat what Ginger Baker said to Robert Plant, but he did go away.
Oh, after that. Okay. After
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
but the stage at that particular gig was a sloping stage. So,
Okay.
but they had a drum riser to bring the drums level. Not right,
Oh,
not Ginger Baker. He was on the sloping stage. But
okay.
the three of there was Jack Bruce, Ginger Baker, and Eric Clapton in a line together.
Right.
But
Right.
just
Yeah.
incredible,
Now
incredible.
was that Robert when he was with Band of Joy? Is that
No, it's a group called Listen. Then,
okay? Okay.
yeah, yeah.
All right. All right. So after probably after
The Joy came later.
Band of Joy came later.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Well, was your very first band the Vendors?
Yeah, that's it. That was with Johnny Howells, who was on vocalist, and Mickey Marson was a guitarist. Only three of us, and we used to play just like youth clubs and birthday parties and wedding celebrations, things like that. And
Yeah.
I remember we used to. His father had Johnny's father had quite a big house. There's only Johnny and his father. So we could rehearse at the house. There quite a few rooms there, and they had like a bathroom on the ground level. That's where I had my drums in there, and Johnny and Mick would be in the front room, and we used to shout to each other what we were going to play, sort of thing.
Did you?
So it was quite a natural echo in the bathroom as well, Greg. With all the tiles. So
Right. The
yeah,
tiles
it
give
was
you
good.
good
Yeah.
acoustics. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, without knowing in those days, about things like that, I thought,
Right.
wow, this is fantastic.
Right. Well, you mentioned the Tornadoes. With Joe Meek producing.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I
yes.
think he experimented with a lot of those sound.
I think he was the first one to do things. I think even before Spectre,
Yeah, I
before
think he
Phil
was.
Spector,
I think he
and
was.
I think it was the same thing. I think he had just like an echo room, I think, where he used to put his drums, for but he was so far ahead of
Oh,
everything that was going on then. When you think,
wasn't he? Was mad as a hatter, but he was very
apparently,
far.
yes, apparently, yeah, a bit of a nutcase.
Well, you said you
But
were.
aren't they all? It's like Phil Spector. They're all the
Yeah,
same.
he. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that you were a threesome. I had this a guy I talked to recently say this. That's the ideal number for a band because if you have any more, another member or five, you have more personalities to deal with. So the,
That's
the
it.
the fewer, the better.
Yeah, that's it. I think it's great with just the three of us. And
Right.
then this guy, I don't know where he came from, Greg. He wanted to manage us. He said, but I think you need another guitarist.
Oh, okay.
And we
Okay.
said, well, we don't know anybody. And that other guitarist happened to be Dave Hill.
Oh, there you
So,
go. There
so,
you. And you
so,
guys were
so
all around Wolverhampton, weren't you?
yeah,
Pretty much. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you did with the vendors. You did release an acetate single, "Don't Leave
yeah,
Me Now." Don't leave me now.
yeah.
In
That was the
'64.
one. That's the one where Jimmy Page came to the session, and
Oh,
we wouldn't let him play.
that's the one. That
It's amazing that, and that was with the session drummer, a guy called Bobby Graham,
okay, that's the one.
at the time, and that was the first time we'd been in a real recording studio, and it was like a wow, it was like sort of almost like Christmas Day. I mean, we were sort of wide eyed, and looking at all this equipment, you know, sort of fantastic. But no, great experience.
Yeah. Well, the vendors name changed to the In-Betweens.
Yeah,
Now that now
I
this
actually I don't know why that came about.
you don't know what the
And no,
reason for that.
I don't know the reason why, Greg. That's a good. I must contact Johnny and Mick and find out what was the
Yeah.
reason. You know, because
What came? Yeah, that would
you
be
know,
good to know. Yeah. Well,
why
I was
did we
gonna
do
say
that?
that.
You know, why did we do that? Because I
Right.
think the vendors is a better name than the in betweens.
Yeah.
We
I
got
have
quite
to
a few. We got quite a few strange comments about that being called the in betweens.
the
You know,
In-Betweens. Yeah. Now, see if now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the story goes that American producer, songwriter, another Mad Hatter, Kim Fowley,
yeah.
found you guys playing in a local club.
Yeah, but that was with Noddy Holder, Jim Lee, and
That
Dave
was
Hill.
okay.
That was the was that the in betweens?
In-Betweens, yes,
That was the in
yes,
betweens. Yeah,
that was the
I
In-Betweens.
mean we played this club in London called Tiles.
Tiles, yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't see this guy. I mean, actually we did because he was towering above everybody else. You know,
Yeah,
and he kept on coming. He came backstage. You guys are going to be big stars. So of course, we yes, okay, okay, yeah, okay. Anything you say, okay. I want to take you in the studio. Yes, okay, okay. Because we'd heard it all before, you know. But he did,
yeah.
and it was in a tiny studio called Regent Sound, and apparently it's where the Stones recorded their very first album.
Oh, is that right? Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
it's only a tiny. It was like a little. It's only like this was like a front room. This was
right.
Greg, you know, with equipment. I mean, it was very basic in there, and we weren't writing songs then, Greg. And Kim said, "It's okay. We'll just record songs from your stage show, and we'll
Yeah,
make stuff up in the studio." And uh, and the one that we recorded was a song called "You Better Run" by the Young Rascals,
yes,
because
yes.
that was a favourite of ours on stage, and we recorded that. But it was meant to be a fade out. So we
Oh,
just
oh,
carried on and just fell apart at the end, sort of
oh,
thing, as you do. But Kim left it all on.
yeah.
It
Oh, he
it
left
didn't
it. Okay, yeah.
he didn't fade it out. He just left it all on, you know. But
Kept it
yeah,
recording.
yeah. But he was great for us. Well, we
Yeah,
loved being with him. He was
yeah.
we go to a cafe and he kept on saying to the girls who were working there, "You keep your eye on these guys. These guys are going to be big stars." And of course, we were really embarrassed by all this because this guy, the kid, was so forward. He was fantastic. And then back in the '70s on one US tour, Greg, we met him in Los Angeles. He was recording the
Oh,
Runaways. He was with
yes,
the Runaways then.
yes,
And we
yes,
says, "Kim," he said, "I told you you're going to be big stars."
yeah. Well,
He was wonderful,
yeah. Well, I
wonderful.
got to tell you, you recorded about like 9 tracks, I believe,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
mentioned "You Better Run." You also cut the song "Security," a
yeah.
cover
That was
of the Otis Redding
that's rich. Yeah,
Otis Redding track. And I want to
yeah.
show you this. I want to show you this. I tell you, I like to collect. I like to collect music.
Wow, I've never heard of that. Oh, we got the photograph of us there. Yeah.
The see, you're
Wow.
on there, and
Yeah.
these are
That's,
all of the
oh,
like
I don't know about that.
all the.
Can you send me details of
I
this?
I will I
And
will.
I must get that.
I go to there's a local record store here where I can find really hard to find. Uh,
Uh-huh.
I like to get these compilations because that's how I find out about a lot of
That's
bands.
where I buy compilations
Yes.
really.
Oh,
you
do you?
know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I buy
but
compilation, but
he,
I
but
always think every track is something good,
that's right. That's right.
every track is,
You know,
oh,
it,
you must send me details of
yeah,
that, please,
I
Greg.
will.
I don't know about that.
And this is UK on Ace Records. It's
Okay.
released there,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But it's got again it's got the security on here.
Yeah, out Australian.
He recorded with Cat Stevens, Portobello
Yeah.
Road, the Lancasters, uh, B Bumble and the Stingers, Nut
Yeah,
Rockers.
that was his big hit record, and
Yes,
Alley Oop
Alley Oop.
With the Hollywood Argyles.
That's right.
Yeah.
Belfast Gypsies.
Oh, oh,
He recorded
that
with.
wasn't that wasn't them. That didn't become
Yeah,
Van
yes,
Morrison. Yeah,
right,
wow.
right, yes. So
Uh,
and it's got all the history behind all of these and everything. So yeah, it's definitely where I will definitely send you the
Send
details
me
on this.
details, please.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that, Greg. I've never
yes,
heard of that copy. That's
right, right,
fantastic.
right.
I must guess I'm gonna give it to the rest of the guys as well.
Yeah,
Because
it'd be
I
very
mean,
interesting.
we couldn't believe how Kim was. I mean, a lot of time we were so embarrassed when we were out with him. Kim said, "You look out for these guys. They're going to be millionaires. They're going to be famous. Can you, Kim, please don't."
Right.
We go to one of his banks to get so he can get some cash, and he'd be telling all the people in the bank, "Look out for these guys." Kim, can you keep it? It
we're
was fantastic.
we're blushing. We're blushing. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. But fantastic,
Yeah.
great characters.
Very great character. You're right. Well, the
Yeah,
band's name was then changed to Ambrose Slade in
yeah.
'69
Yeah,
after
that was it.
you signed the record deal with Fontana. Yeah.
Well, that's what Jack Baverstock, who really believed in us. He was the head of the company then, Greg.
Yeah.
He's the one who gave us a week to make an album. And he said, "I hate the name The In-Betweens." He said, you got to think of another. I hate it." And we thought, well, this guy wants to give us a chance. We'll do anything. We'll do
Right.
anything to change the name. And we had a sort of a mini fan club at the time in our hometown, Greg. So the girl, I can't even remember her name now, um, put a thing in the fan club for the members to think of a name for us.
Oh,
And I don't know where it came from. It came from a few different. One mentioned Ambrose and one mentioned Slade. So we just put them together,
okay.
and that's how that came about. Um,
Okay.
and and that and that's when the first album, Beginnings, that
That's
we
right.
made. That was Ambrose Slade,
It
and
was
that's when
Ambrose
we
Slade.
met Chas Chandler
Okay.
during those sessions. And when he took us on, he said, "Let's get rid of whether it's on posters or it'll be they spell it all wrong. It'll be Arnold Shed or something Amgo. So we
Yeah.
dropped the Amgo and just kept and it was much better because just one word.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we did. We thought, great, one word like the Beatles,
Right.
we
Right.
were just mega fans of the Beatles.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and that's how that came about. And that's when we met Chaz. I mean, when he came to the studio to listen to us, we were like, well, open mouth. This is the guy that discovered Jimi Hendrix, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he started producing us and managing us, and that's when he started to take off, really, Greg.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Well, it was a stroke of genius. I mean,
Oh, well,
j-
what it was, he actually started us writing our own songs.
okay. Right.
So you have to start writing your own songs. And, yeah, Jim Lee and myself started writing the first, and Noddy Holder and Dave Hill and things like that. Then Jim Lee and Noddy Holder came up with a song "Cause I Love You," and that was the writing formula. That was it then. So we go, those two are going to be the writers. And that's how that. Yeah. But when Chaz met us, we tried every release a few songs and a few things, three songs he found, nothing at all. We were still just basically playing pubs and clubs and ballrooms, things around that time. And then Noddy Holder was a big fan of Stefan Grappelli and Django Reinhardt.
Oh, is that right?
And Jim was classically trained on the violin. And we used to do a few things on stage. We used to play Martha, My Dear from the Beatles.
All
from
right.
from,
Yeah.
from the White Album with Jim on violin, and Nod was playing bass and that, and um, and they came up with a Stefan Grappelli, Django Reinhardt style song, "'Cause I Love You."
Oh,
And we weren't sure about it. Now it's a bit soppy, a bit poppy, sort of thing. And
yeah.
Chaz actually said that then, he said, that's going to be your first number one. And,
Uh,
and, and we just laughed at him,
yeah.
sort of, because we couldn't take it seriously,
Yeah.
And when we recorded it, Greg, it sounded great in the studio, but it didn't sound like we were trying to be not heavy, but a bit more rock, So that's when we put the hand clapping and foot stamping on it, and just to try and heavy it up a little bit,
Yeah.
and it became our trademark.
It did. Yes.
We had
Yes.
to do. We used to go with the stairway of this recording studio. It used to be an old cinema, and we used to go with the stairway and just stamping and clapping and all sort of shouting sort of thing,
And
and it just became the trademark, really.
and so many other glam bands would copy that too.
Yeah,
After
yeah, incredible. It's amazing when we meet some of these bands, how they say
yeah.
how much that we influence them. It's quite nice to hear that.
That's right.
It's quite nice,
Yeah, you were one of the first. Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. At the genesis of that whole sound.
yeah.
Well,
I believe we were, Craig.
yeah. Well, now you guys, this is my estimate. Going back and looking, did you guys over the career release about what 20 albums? Was that pretty?
Yeah, maybe not quite. So around that, Greg,
Okay.
around that.
Including live albums, probably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I like those the best. I find those a bit more true.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's something because we've always considered ourselves a live band.
right.
Sort of at first recording was a bit of a chore for us, sort
Yeah,
of thing, because
and
mainly live stuff was the
and
best. Yeah.
speaking of, I still have my vinyl here.
Oh wow! I tell you what, it's amazing, Greg, how many
And
albums released.
who is that?
Yeah,
Who is that on the
that's
drum? Who's that on the drum?
That's it. That's the one. And that was at the Marquee Club in London. That
Okay.
small club. That's where the
Okay.
photograph was taken.
Ah,
And
okay.
but it's no matter where we go in the world, Greg,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all the albums released, people always mention that one.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Always Slade alive.
And I like the inside too when you open it up here.
Yeah, well, that came about. That was
Let me
we
see if I
did
can get it up here. There we go.
we did a competition through our fan club at the time for
Uh,
like people to send an idea in for the inner cover, and that was the one that won.
that was the one that won it.
That's
Okay.
the one that some guy from the north of England. I can't remember his name, Greg,
Uh-huh.
but he sent that, and that he said that's the one.
Yes,
That's
yes.
got to be the one, sort of thing. But like I say, it don't matter where we go in the world.
Yeah.
Forget all the other albums.
Yeah.
That's the one that everybody mentions.
And everybody mentioned likes the live
It's
album.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, so there's way too many albums to go in to delve into, but
Okay.
my favorite now my favorite is the '72 album Slade with the question mark.
All
This one,
right. The
this
one
one,
with the
yeah,
fish, yeah,
the
that's
fist,
it.
yeah,
The fish, that
yeah,
was that one, yeah, the fish.
yes,
But yeah, I mean, I like there's an album called Old New Borrowed and Blue.
yeah, yeah,
That was much later on that, Greg, and that
right,
was as the title suggests. We've got some old songs, some new songs, and some borrowed songs. Things that we
right,
come, and
right,
that was the one. But
yeah,
I, I love recording.
yeah,
I have a great time and
right,
learning different
yeah,
things about,
well,
about the
yeah.
technology and what have
Right.
you.
Well, I wanted to mention my favorites from the '72 album and just get your input or your memories, maybe
Yeah.
recollection about the songs. Look at Last Night.
Yeah, that's a good song. Good
Yes, it
song.
is.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
yeah. Actually, I seem to remember someone mentioned that was a contender for a single, Greg.
Okay, it's got single.
I think that was a contender for a single at the time
Right.
when we recorded it. Yeah,
It's got the sound of a single. It does.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's
and
good.
then this is my favorite, all-time favorite Slade song. My all-time favorite is "I Won't Let It Happen Again."
Another one that was
Yeah.
another one that was a contender. But
Okay.
if you listen, I'm sure I won't let it happen. If you listen to the opening of that particular track, you can hear me shout, "Yeah!"
Yes. Yeah.
But,
I didn't know it was you. I didn't know it was you.
yeah, because very well, because the groove felt so good when we
It did.
started it, and I
It
just
did.
shouted, "Yeah!" You know,
I like
this
the
is.
groove, that chugging rhythm. I like that on that
Yeah,
song. Yes.
and that's the one when I shout,
Yes.
yeah, because when we started, it thought, whoa, this is great, a great
Yeah.
groove. This is,
Yes.
That's
Yes, it
another
is.
one. There's quite a few. There's one that Jimmy Lee sang called "Find Yourself a Rainbow."
Oh, okay.
If we,
I know
I
the one you're
can't
talking
remember what album it was on now, Greg,
about. Mhm.
but that was a contender for a single also, especially in the States
In the state over
at
here.
at the time,
Yeah.
But I think a few people actually recorded that, different artists. I mean, but I've got to do some research on that one.
Okay.
But
Well,
that was the one with Jimmy Lee singing.
okay, that was it.
Yeah,
And then Goodbye to Jane. That's a
yeah, that was.
great rocker, great rocker.
Yeah, that was well. What that was again, the same thing again. That was like maybe I don't think we did more than 3 takes on that, because it felt so good. And because I remember when Nod and Jim played it was actually in the studio when I first heard it. We were doing a session,
Yeah.
and I said, "How about this drum thing, this
Uh-huh.
drum intro?" And what it is, Greg, we used to do this TV show in Germany, yeah, called Hits the Go Go.
Okay.
One of those sort of, and the opening thing was like a drum thing. I said, remember that TV show? I said, I'm
Yeah.
going to nick that. I'm going to nick that
You're
with this.
gonna nick it.
Because it was always a great intro. And then
Yeah.
we just slowed it down a bit. And
Yeah.
that's the intro to Goodbye to Jane.
Yeah. And then another goodbye track on there, Goodbye, Goodbye.
Yeah,
Uh,
another
the
one.
the opening vocals. Now you mentioned earlier the Beatles. Everybody was fans of
Yeah.
the Beatles. Opening vocals of each verse reminds me a lot of "I Am the Walrus"
Yeah,
on
well,
Goodbye,
great, So actually, I've never heard that one before, Greg.
Oh,
I
okay.
must remember that,
Yeah.
because we concentrated a lot on vocals in the early days. There's to sort of really work hard on vocal harmonies, on sort of unison or whatever. They did a lot in the early days, because when we first started, we used to play a lot of Tamla Motown.
All right.
And then that's how we started doing backing vocals as per, the Tamla Motown thing. And that was why I always said, actually, I said it to Kim Fowley, and I said that I would have always loved just to sit in the control room at a Tamla Motown session.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
But
Wouldn't that be? Yeah.
just to watch them, because I didn't really, it was Kim who told me, actually, or told us, it's the same guys on everybody's records.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
the same drummer, bass player, whatever that, and they always used the Four Tops would sing on the Supremes, and the Supremes with the Temptations. I thought that's fantastic,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I saw a great program recently about Berry Gordy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and apparently he started Tamla Motown, Greg, on a bank loan.
Did he really? I didn't hear that. Okay. Yeah.
He got a bank loan to start
Yeah.
Tamla Motown. Incredible, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. He
I
was a
love those stories.
true, I do too, a true visionary. True. You're right. You're right. Well, and then another track on there, it's one of the most recognizable Slade songs, Mama, We're All Crazy Now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just
that
so
was
good. That's a
that was
party song. That's a good
that
time
was
party.
that
Yeah.
was the first take, Greg.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Was it
It's the
just the
first
first take?
take. It worked straight away, because
Yeah.
when we recorded, we were all of us together in the studio,
Yeah.
and not sang at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that was the first take, Monroe
Oh,
Crazy, and
oh,
we all fell about after we thought,
did
yes,
you?
that's the next single.
Yeah. And the,
We knew it straight away. That is the
you
next single.
you could tell right away. You knew it
Yeah,
was going to. And then one
yeah.
last track from that album. You see how many songs I like from that album? I Don't Mind. I like the
Oh,
blue.
that,
I like the blues feel to that one.
yeah, great, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember, right, it was Alan O'Duffy who engineered all that early stuff, an engineer at Olympic Studios. He got a great drum sound on that one.
Yeah.
Sadly, Alan passed away recently. I went to his funeral in London, But what a great guy. He was so calm in the studio, no matter about all the mayhem that was going on around him. He was so calm, sort of
Yeah.
with eating his yogurt and sort of doing things. Like I said, World War III was going on around him.
Around him.
He was just, drifting along. He was incredible, Greg.
Yeah. Well, maybe it helped rub off on you guys, helped calm you guys down a little bit, maybe.
I think it did,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I never met anybody like him. He was sort of like, I never heard him say a crossword. I never saw him get angry
Yeah.
or get riled or get frustrated. He was just
Yeah.
he just drifted along, and he was incredible. I learned a lot from Alan.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
invited me. Do you know a percussionist called Ray Cooper?
Yes, I
He's a,
do. Yes, I do.
he does a lot with Elton John.
Elton John, right.
He's
Yes.
always with on the road with Elton. Well, he used to be on the road with Elton John. And Alan called me the one day. I was living in London at the time, Greg, and he said, "I'm doing a session with Ray Cooper. You're doing some percussion." And I mentioned to him, he says, "You're more than welcome to come in the studio and just to watch, you know." And he was fantastic just to watch the tricks he was doing, the way he made
Yes.
it look so effortless, what he
Right.
was doing. And it
Right.
was great.
Right. Yeah, I think I saw him when I saw Elton John way back when. I think he was on tour with them. He was
Yeah,
playing with
it
them
would
too.
have been. It would have
Yeah.
been.
Well, yeah,
I think,
I mean, the cymbals and the gong and everything he would
yeah,
play.
that's it. He had
Yeah.
all a big array of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Elton John's last tour, I think, was just basically him on piano and Ray Cooper,
Okay.
on
Okay.
percussion.
Okay. Okay. Well, now, other favorite tracks of mine from the band's you know broad you know range of years that you
Yeah,
guys recorded together. Of course, there's "Merry Christmas, Everybody," which I
yeah.
mentioned. I think that
I'm,
song is going to outlast all of
I,
humanity. I think.
I tell you what, doesn't matter. The same again, no matter where you are in the world. You hear that song. I remember the year it came out, '73.
Yeah.
We were on a UK tour at the time. I can't remember which city we were in, but I was in the elevator going down to check out to the hotel. The elevator was quite packed, and Merry Christmas was playing in the elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I
Yes.
was at the front by the door, and I heard this guy didn't know that I was there, and I heard him say, "I'm so fed up of this record," and uh,
He was
and,
tired of it.
and I turned around and faced him. Oh, look. And it's just incredible.
Yeah.
And that was recorded in New York in '73. We had a week off. We're on a world tour. We just finished an American tour, Greg, and we had a week off before we went to Australia and Japan. And Chaz, who was producing our records, was with us. He said, "Do you have anything?" He said, "We've got a week off. We might as well, if there's something that Nod and Jim have written, we could go in the studio." And they said, "Well, we've got this Christmas song, and okay, let's hear it." This is in June or something like that in '73. "We have to get in the studio to record this." And then we went in. There was a heat wave of like over 100 degrees.
Oh,
And
okay.
there we were singing this song.
Yeah.
And if you listen very hard, very close at the very end, Greg, because I only just learnt it, I forgot to stop, and you'll just hear one drum beat
Oh, really?
at the
Okay.
at the very end where I forgot to stop. But you have to listen very closely. And
Yeah.
when we recorded, I think what it was, Greg, was because there was a heat wave in New York, and it didn't seem right. We were
Right.
singing Christmas song,
Right. Right.
and we said, we're not sure about this. We said not sure. And I remember Chaz, who was producing, I said, "I don't care what you lot say, this is coming out," you know. And sure enough,
And
there
it
we
did.
go.
And
It's
it did.
amazing, sort of. We've had like 24 hit records, hit singles, great, and
Yeah.
people don't remember that one.
That
What was
one.
it?
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
come Christmas time, it's being played.
Ah,
Yeah,
just
all over
it's
again.
just
Yeah.
incredible. Do you think after all these years? But I think it's probably the same with every Christmas record. They get Yeah, I know. I remember in '73 when that came out, there was a glut of Christmas records. There was like Greg Lake, Roy Wood, Elton John had one, but we beat them all.
Right. Yeah, you did. You beat them to the punch.
Well,
Exactly.
we're having a successful year anyway that year,
Yeah.
Greg. So, yeah, that helped a lot.
Well, another one of my favorite tracks is "My Friend Stan." Uh,
Yeah.
that has a Beatles feel. Yeah.
Yeah, that exactly.
Yeah.
I believe John Lennon made a comment about that
Did he?
because I think it was I think that was a review in one of the music papers. Sound good? This could be a Beatles release,
Yeah.
and they asked John Lennon, "What do you think about Slade becoming the new Beatles?"
Yeah.
And apparently John Lennon said, "Who wants to be the new Beatles?" That was his comment.
That was his.
Yeah,
Oh, that's yeah.
but he did say how much he loved Noddy Holder's voice.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know, yeah,
Okay.
he
Yeah.
did say that.
I could even hear the Beatles doing that song. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. And then "Every Day" is a great ballad. I love that.
yeah, lovely song,
Yeah.
lovely song.
Yes.
Apparently, that was Jim Lee's mother, Jim Lee's wife, who sort of came up with the gist of that particular song, Greg.
Oh, is that right? Okay. See, I like to hear those origins like that. You should.
Yeah,
Thanks for
yeah,
sharing.
I like things like that. Talking about things like that, I've got some. I don't know how they came about. I got some pirate recordings of the very early days,
Oh, wow.
where
Okay.
you can hear them falling about in the studio, and you can hear I don't know, playing, I can't remember, they're playing a rock, one of the standard rock songs. It falls apart, and you can hear John Lennon saying to Paul McCartney, "What are you playing? What are you doing? What are you playing?" And you hear Paul McCartney say, "I haven't got my plectrum."
Oh, it
You
didn't
know,
have it.
and he said, "Well, where is it?" He said, "It's still in the van,
Oh,
in my suitcase." And you can hear George Harrison shout, "Well, your suitcase was bought in ages ago, but to actually kept those tapes,
it
Greg,
kept those. Wow.
unbelievable, unbelievable,
Yeah.
really." And I did this. I don't know. I told this. I did this thing with Ringo. Um, I
Yes.
he was
Yes.
he was doing a concert near where we live, myself and Hannah live, and I arranged to get into the concert. He came to a concert of ours in Los Angeles in the '70s, and I was like a gibberish wreck. I mean, we were
Yeah.
playing on stage, and I looked to the side, I could see Ringo standing on the stage, and I went all to jelly,
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to this concert. We were back, and it was great. And I didn't know how much you wanted to talk about the Beatles, when we must be so fed up, But I just mentioned, I said, I've got so many films of you lot from the '60s in America. I said, there's no monitors on stage. He said, they weren't around then. He
Yeah.
said we just like I said, a lot of time we were playing different songs because we couldn't hear anything, you
Oh, wow.
know.
Yeah.
And then he said to me, "You're going to get up on stage and play." I said, "You try and stop me," and he says,
Yeah.
he says, "You can play my drums." He said, because he had another drummer, American guy, Greg. But he said, "You can play my drum because I'll be down the front singing." He said, "You can play the last two songs with a little help from my friends and
Oh,
give peace a chance." And I've got the photographs to prove it, Greg.
oh, okay.
It
All
was
right.
great. They were all great. It's nice when you meet your heroes and they don't disappoint.
That's right. And they don't disappoint.
It's
That's
wonderful, wonderful.
exactly surreal.
Yeah,
Surreal. Well, the another one, "Run, Runaway," great track.
yeah,
It
yeah.
gets the blood going. It gets the blood going.
Yeah, that
Uh,
was our first hit in America, Greg.
oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it
Okay.
was our first hit, because MTV has started as well then.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did the video there in front of this big castle in England.
Yes, I remember
Yeah,
the video. Yes, I remember the
that's
video.
it. Yeah, MTV and that's what helped a lot. And that's when we were going to do the tour with Ozzy Osbourne.
Okay.
But Jim Lee went down with hepatitis, so we had to just forget it.
You had to
You
nix that.
know,
Yeah.
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 But
Well,
yeah, that was our
oh,
first.
I like that, Jim getting that with the layered violins, getting that
Yeah,
bagpipey
yeah,
sound.
that's right. Well,
Yeah.
it's funny when we did when the video was shot on MTV. he, excuse me, he was in front of this big castle in England. Of course, people thought that that was where we lived.
Yeah.
They thought that was our home.
That
No,
was
no,
your
no,
home.
no. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Like
yeah.
some people, I don't think they still, with the internet and
Oh,
TV
yeah, yeah,
everywhere, I
yeah.
don't think they believe it anymore. But growing up, people thought Texas, there were tumbleweeds. Where I lived, there were like tumbleweeds going past, and
Yeah, well,
everybody rides horses, and
that's it. I thought the same because I thought that Texas is where the Cowboys are from.
that, yeah.
Yeah, so
You
that's
know,
where all the
I said
Cowboys
no.
are going.
I said no. It's a metropolitan city. It's a
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
But well
well, as I
now,
said, that I
yeah,
said that's where my wife went to school when she was 18, and
right,
we're
right,
near Dallas. Not
yes.
so far, and we've been back, to visit, sort of
Yeah,
thing.
but it's so wild. People growing up when I was younger that didn't know that, never been here, and
No, no,
thought
no.
it was like the old West,
Yeah, exactly. I can imagine that. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and then one of the best anthems of all time, "My Oh My,"
Oh, yeah.
gorgeous. That's just a
Yeah.
gorgeous track. Yeah,
A great song,
yeah,
sort of thing. But that was the first time since the 70s that our record company at the time wanted us to use a producer.
yes.
And those are the first two songs we did. It was My Oh My and Run Runaway with a guy named John Punter, who was a producer. George Martin, who used to produce the Beatles. He had a company, and he used to train a lot of up and coming producers and engineers and things like that. And that's where John Punter came from George Martin's stable. And
Okay.
he learned us a lot because we'd always been in the studio playing everything together, sort of thing,
Yeah.
no separation. And
Yeah.
he taught us a lot, John did. He taught us a lot. It was
Okay.
great.
Well, I didn't want to gloss over the whole career, but any favorite album of yours or tracks?
Well, but I'll do Borrowed and Blue is one of my favorite because there's a bit of everything, like say, as the title says, a bit of old songs, new songs. Um, my I think my favorite Slade single is like "It's Far Far Away"
Far, far away.
because I love Noddy Holder's lyrics. It's
Yes.
about a tour in the world at a time, and
Yes.
it depicts all that. And I suppose I relate to that, more than anything because of Noddy Holder's lyrics.
Yes. Yes. Well, 1973 was not a good year for you. Do you
No,
mind? Do you mind talking about the
not at all,
auto?
not at all, Greg. But to tell you the truth, because I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I was gonna say you wouldn't remember the actual,
No.
the
Well,
crash.
well, it's just weird, because I've got no idea what happened still to this day. And when I lived in my hometown, Wolverhampton, he's on the way to my apartment from the centre of Wolverhampton to where my apartment was. And I took the wall out, the entrance to a school there. And I've still to this day, I've got no idea, Greg.
Yeah.
No, no idea. It's hard for people to understand that. And on our first tour of America after it, I was telling our agent about, telling the same story. Excuse me. He said, I've got a friend who's a brain specialist, and he arranged me to go and see him. And he said, I was explaining the thing, and he got the records from the hospital in Wolverhampton. He said, you never will remember. He said, don't try. He says, you're going to give yourself a nervous breakdown. He said,
Yeah.
because the brain has this incredible mechanism, it'll
Yeah.
switch off
Right.
before something happens and switch back on when it's ready.
Right.
And he said, so just leave it like that. And that's it, Greg. I mean, I used to like drive by the place, and I still lived in my hometown, and it meant nothing to me.
What
You
about
know,
the injuries that you sustained? And
oh God,
yeah,
well, a fractured skull, broken ribs, two broken legs, arm, and with the fractured skull, I have like an amnesia situation, and I have no sense of smell or taste.
still
You
to this
know,
day. Still
yeah,
to this.
that's gone. That's
Okay.
gone. When I saw the specialist in New York, I explained to him. He said that could have been fixed straight away. He said, but they were trying to keep you alive. He
Okay.
said that. He said that would be secondary. He
That was
said,
secondary.
yeah. He
That was
said
my.
he said that's nothing, but I'm used to it now. I still eat the things that I liked before, and I don't eat the things. The only thing I get worried about is food poisoning, you
Oh yeah.
know. But
But you actually, when you're swallowing, you
I've
actually, you
got
don't.
nothing. I can taste sugar and salt, but
Okay.
that they come from the tongue. It's
Okay.
actually the actual sense of smell and taste are the nerves in the bridge of the
Yeah.
nose.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and when I saw this at this specialist, he said, "You can't believe how lucky you were." He said, "There is also your eyesight." He said you could have been blinded. So, and when he explained to me everything, Greg, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's been so many years. My sense of smell and taste means nothing. I'm still alive. That's the
Right.
main thing.
That's the main thing. That's the
Yeah,
main thing. Right.
yeah.
And
But I
you,
mean, it's one of those things. It's like I've done so many interviews. And I said, "But I don't remember anything, so I don't know what to
you're just being
say.
honest. You're just
I
being
don't know what
honest.
to, yeah,
You're just
I
being
don't know what to say.
right. Right. Well, I had to ask, right?
Oh,
Well,
and that's fine. No, well, it doesn't bother me, Greg. But like I have to
yeah,
say, I don't know what
you don't.
happened.
You don't. Right.
I just, but I tell you what, it was the entrance to this school that I took out. Apparently, no, it left. It was the entrance, and I had this big get well card from the kids, the
Oh,
pupils at the school, and at the
wow.
bottom, someone wrote, "Next time, make it the school."
Oh, I
Well, I
like
thought
that.
that was quite funny. I thought
I
I
like
like that when I had to
I like
have a
that's
little laugh when I read
that's a
that.
good way. That's a good sense
Yeah,
of humor.
yeah,
A twist on that. Yes, exactly.
yeah.
Well, that's funny. Well, why did Noddy and Jim leave the band in what, 92?
I, but I think I've got to be quite glad. I think Nod was going through a pretty bad divorce at the time.
Okay.
He's gone through a pretty bad divorce, Greg, and he has two daughters. From that first marriage, and he didn't. He wanted to see them grow up. He didn't want to, be a stranger to them, and that's it in a nutshell, really.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he went. We went along with his plans. We totally understood,
Right.
that he didn't want to. He wanted to see his daughters grow up.
Okay.
Because if we were on the road, he would never see them, sort of thing.
Mm,
And Jim Lee didn't want to carry on without Nod,
okay.
So that's it in a nutshell,
Yeah.
really, Greg.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Well, you and Dave would form Slade II,
yeah,
and then you released the 1994 album Keep On Rocking.
yeah. That was actually recorded in Belgium.
Oh, okay.
Just a small studio. It was originally signed to a Belgian label, and the guy who apparently was the company owner was a big fan from the 70s, so he gave us a chance, and it was a great fun recording. He brought back a lot of memories where the band we just went in the studio and played.
Right.
No sort of machines, no sort of computers. We just went in and played, and it was wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah.
and had a really good time doing it.
How'd the fans react? Were they all on board with that album? The old fans, the old Slade fans?
Yeah, most of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I think the majority really. What that helped as well, Greg, is releasing a lot of the territories and places like Russia and the old Eastern Bloc,
Yeah.
which didn't happen in the 70s then, and we managed to tour like Russia and some of the old Eastern Bloc, Czech Republic, and places like that we couldn't go to in the 70s.
Right, right. Yeah, I've heard stories talking to bands that did play the Eastern Bloc like
Yeah.
that at that time, how intimidated they were. And a
Oh,
lot of the concerts they would actually have armed guards and things
yeah,
like that.
we have the same. I mean, I remember it was in Moscow, the Olympic Stadium, to 18,000. There was just as we walked on stage, a line of police walked along the front of the stage, not on the stage, but on the arena level,
Yeah,
and they just stood there. And of course, like the kids were scared to stand up.
right, right.
And it's a bit intimidating there. But the thing was, Greg, I broke a drumstick through the shot and just let it go, and it
Yeah.
knocked one of these guys' hats off
Okay.
down the front. Of course, he thought I'd done it on
On
purpose.
purpose, yeah.
And he turned around to me. I went, it was an accident. But it was it's
Yeah.
we've had a great time every time we've been to Russia. We've had a fantastic time. Sort of yeah, nothing intimidating at all. But I tell you what, when you realize how big that continent is,
Yeah.
we flew from Moscow to Vladivostok on the East Coast, 13 hours.
A long, long.
That's like flying London, Los Angeles.
Yes,
And
it's a
I remember
long.
looking at my hotel windows, the Sea of Japan, the Chinese and Korean borders, sort of thing.
Yes.
And but a great experience. I mean, when else would I have a chance ever to go to a place like Russia or anything
Yeah.
like that? And I tell even now we've been there. I think we've been to Moscow about 6 times, Greg. And even now, Lenin's tomb is in Red Square, and
Yeah.
every time I've been there, there's all been a line of people all round the block. I've never had a chance to go in, myself, but apparently the poor man's been there over 100 years. I mean, this guy said, well, it's quite now be quite dark in there, and they
Yeah.
move you through really quickly. So, but yeah, so he's the man that started communism.
Yeah. That's right.
But his idea of communism is a bit different to how it ended up, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we've
Right.
always had a great time there.
Wow.
We've always had a great time. It's been an experience, and I remember the very first time. Sorry, we're in a hotel just off Red Square, and Red Square's a lot smaller than the impression you get from TV.
Yeah. It looks
Sort
big. It
of.
looks big. Yeah.
He looks in it, but it's not.
It's not.
It's a lot smaller than the impression you get. But it's just great. Just had a great time there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're fast forwarding again. Your
Yeah,
biography, "Look What I
yeah,
Dun: My Life in Slade,"
yeah.
published in by Music Sales Limited in
Yeah,
2013, and then you had help with it with Danish writer
yeah,
Lisa
Lisa. Well,
Falkenberg. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, she was great. I mean, great. But I've done a few interviews because she's basically independent. She does like things for like lots of outlets, and I did some interviews with her, and I've got all my diaries, Greg. And Hannah and myself were reading through them once, and we were just killing ourselves laughing at some of the things that went on.
Yeah.
And then my wife said, "You have to put this into a book.
Yeah.
You have to do the people will love to read this." And I said, "Well, who can I ask? Who can I trust?" And I thought, Lisa,
Yeah.
because I've done so many good things. So I approached Lisa, and yeah, and so we had a few meetings, and then one time about the sixth meeting, she said, "Don, you've got to open up to me." He said, "Because people who know you will say, oh, we conveniently missed that bit out, or he hasn't mentioned that, this and that." And I said, "You're right." So I just gave her all my diaries.
Oh, did you?
I
Okay.
totally trust her. And she
Oh,
said, "I'm not that kind of writer. You won't get any dirt. You can read everything before it's published."
right. That's good.
And but when I told the other guys, that I told Noddy and Dave that I'll do my biography, they all went white.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
Quite
What's he
funny.
gonna say? What's he gonna say?
Quite funny. So don't worry,
Yeah.
there's no dirt in there.
How
Quite
long?
funny.
How long had you been keeping your diary? How long had you
So
been keeping?
basically, since the accident, because of the amnesia, and it was Alan O'Duffy who engineered all this early Slade stuff. He mentioned that to me.
Okay.
He said, and yeah, and I enjoy reading them myself every now and again. Don't look
Yeah.
back on them. So I've been luckily all the places we travelled to around the world was, it's been great. Like I said, when Hannah and myself were reading, that's when she said, "You have to put this into a book." And I think he did okay. Oh,
Yeah.
it's coming out again. I saw the guy who does my website, Greg,
Uh-huh.
a guy named John, and he sent me an ad that Amazon have picked it up.
Oh, like a
Yeah,
reissue? Like a yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I'm not quite sure whether it's a paperback or what, but
Okay.
it was apparently it's just yesterday or the day before sent me this thing from Amazon that they're
Oh,
going to release it. So I don't know what's happened there. I
Oh,
don't
wow.
know how they worked that with Omnibus, the company that published it in the first place, whether they buy it from Omnibus or they just get the rights to I don't know how it works. So that's the first time I've heard of it. Greg was like yesterday or the day before.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is good
I'll,
timing. Yeah.
I'll tell the John that does my website. He's going to find out more information, for me. But
Oh,
I'm
that
not
would be
against it. I won't be against it. You do it, sort of thing. You
right.
know,
Right.
yeah.
We get a wider readership maybe too, as well. At that.
Mm.
Well, I did read where you and Ozzy would party quite a bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's
Sad to hear of his passing. Yeah.
he's one of the funniest people I've ever been. I've been with my stomach aching. We laughed, sort of. I could, sadly, saw the funeral, and very sad, very sad. But I have to say, I'm amazed he lasted this long.
Yeah. I am
You
too.
know,
I am.
yeah, the really because what he's done to himself, sort of thing. I can't believe he lasted this long.
Yeah.
Just incredible. But just a lovely person. And we were going to, I don't know if I told you, we were going to an Iron Maiden concert. We met on the lunchtime in this bar, and he said, I've been asked to go to this Iron Maiden concert in London. We were both in London at the time. He said, they've asked me to sing Paranoid, the Black Sabbath classic with them. I said, yeah, okay, that sounds good. We can go to that. I said, I want to go to a fancy dress place to get something to wear. And I thought, okay. So we go to a fancy. He decides to pull on the pink tights, the little tutu, and the things like this. And he said, "What do you think, Don?" I said, "Yes, pretty good, pretty good." Yeah. And then he puts a Nazi war helmet on,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
I said, "Well, now you look silly," sort of
After
thing.
the helmet.
And just as a joke, Greg, I said it was around the time the rush hour in London. I said, if we go to the concert, it'll be quicker if we go on the bus.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
said, "Great idea." I went, "Oh no,
No,
no."
don't do it. No, no.
So he's out on the bus with his ballerina's outfit. People give me
People
for white
exactly. They're
first.
like,
He's like, of course he goes on stage and the place goes mental.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, just yeah, he's one of the funniest people I've ever met. I
yeah.
mean, you watch the Osborne show, I think he's the normal one. It's the rest of the family that are
Right.
nuts,
I think so. I think
but
so. Right.
very sad, very,
Yeah.
very sad, sort of thing. He was just a lovely person. He
Yeah.
really was a lovely person.
Well, you got to see that side of him that a lot of the outside world didn't.
No,
Getting to
no,
know him, getting to know him.
no, no,
Yeah.
no. I mean, sort of, it's just amazing. But he was telling us about the Osborne's team. He said it looks fantastic. He said, but that film crew was in our house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He said it looks fantastic, but it was quite hard. It was
Right.
like for months on end, months
And
at a time.
intrusive, very intrusive. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
He said it was very, very. He said it looks fantastic. They did a great job. He said, but
Yeah.
he said you can imagine 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in your house. So I
No.
couldn't even go to the toilet.
That's
So
a
yeah,
crew member
yeah,
there.
following you around.
No.
But there you go, and another one of those guys gone. You
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
yeah, but a great character, great character.
Well, yeah, another guy you mentioned earlier, Ringo Starr. You
Yeah,
contributed to the foreword in the 2016 book, Ringo Starr and the Beatles Beat.
yeah.
Yeah, you contributed to the forward. I know you've been a lifelong Ringo fan,
Oh,
but
fantastic.
isn't interesting to note. Now, doing these interviews, I get a lot of these common threads come up. The book was co-written by Terry McCusker,
Yeah, yeah.
who was in Colonel Bagshot.
That's right. And they
Okay.
supported
Did you?
Slade a few times.
Yeah, that's right. Did you
Yeah.
happen to see my interview with Brian Farrell?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
The first I knew the name and I thought, oh, Brian from Colonel
Yeah.
Backshot. And then
Yeah.
I suddenly realized who it was. So
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, great guys. I
Oh,
remember because Chas started this record company,
Yeah.
and the Colonel Backshot was they're called Bunny, I think. They Chas signed to his label, and he asked us to if we take them on one of our European tours. And she said, yeah, that's fine. They can open for us, you know. And I tell you what, I remember going in. I hadn't met them at the time, Greg. So the first night was in Brussels. It was the um, Forest, a big arena called the Forest National, about 18,000. And I went in the dressing room just to introduce myself and say hi and welcome to the tour and all that kind of thing. And they were shaking, you know.
Were they?
They had to go on stage in front of 18,000 people, but they've been used to clubs, you know. And I said, no, we've gone through the same thing ourselves. I said, I bet you're scared, aren't you? They said, yes, we are.
Yeah.
But we've
Yeah.
just become big friends, you know. Yeah, all the time. And I've been to Liverpool a few times. Stay we get a Terry and his wife and saw the rest of the guys, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he mentioned about doing the book, you know, sort of thing. And yeah, as I said, Ringo's still one of my all-time favorite drummers.
Yeah.
You know, there's some of the things that people don't know, how he sort of introduced a lot of things to drumming that no people really know, especially on Beatles records. Fantastic, really.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
He was perfect for the Beatles.
Oh,
The perfect
incredible.
drummer. Yeah. Yeah.
But I was talking to you about that when I went to that concert and played, Greg, and he said, "Ah, yeah, he said, but when I first joined them, he said it was like people were throwing things at me, you know, because Pete Best was such a popular guy, you know, and he said, and I came, said they was just throwing things at me, you know, said it was very hard for a few months, you
Yeah.
know, sort of thing. But there you go,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. It would be. It would be. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Brian, what a character. He's a real character.
Yeah, they're lovely guys. But I sort of thought, well, great.
Right. Right.
And I thought it seemed like he got on okay with us. But
Yeah.
they were great guys. Really typical Liverpool humour. You know,
Right.
with incredible that Liverpool humour is
Oh,
amazing.
it is.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
really is. I reached out to Terry McCusker. Haven't heard back. You know, Brian said, "Yeah,
Okay.
Terry will talk to you." So I said, "Well, I reached
Do you
out."
want me to, do you want me to G him up, Greg?
Hey, if you're in touch
I'll
with
make
him,
a note. I'll send
yeah,
him an
and
email.
maybe it'll mean more coming from you. You know. Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
send him an email.
yeah, yeah. Because
I,
He said Terry will talk your ear off too. Yeah.
I went when I went up and stayed with Teddy and his wife for over a week. I think he took me around all the haunts, you know, the early
Yes.
Beatles things. You know, I was it just brought back lots of memory about us. You know, playing these tiny bars and you know different things. And yeah, and they've got the full size bronze statues in Liverpool of
Oh,
the
right.
Beatles. You know, sort of thing. And no, it was. Well, as I said, I was like a little fan, just seeing all these places of my heroes, you know, sort of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I remember watching a great interview with George Martin on the Beatles anthology thing, and he said when they first came to me, he said they had nothing. He said they had Love Me Do and Please Please Me. He said the first two releases. He said that's all they had. He said, and then I could not believe where these songs were coming from. He
Yeah.
said every time they come in the studio, so they came to me with these songs. I couldn't believe where they were coming from. You
Right.
know,
Right.
incredible, really.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, there's a magic there, but
Oh, phenomenal.
between the two of them, you know,
Yeah,
and
but
and he,
I was watching. I
yeah,
think that was George Martin again. I think it's when Lennon started Hard Day's Night. He'd
okay,
done the verse, you know.
yeah,
It's been a hard year when I'm home. You know, I only said to Paul McCartney, I don't know where to go from. He said, I've got this bit of song. Maybe this will fit in the middle. When I'm home, everything seems. And he said, and
it,
George Martin was saying they were doing that all the time. So I just
right,
I couldn't believe, you
right,
know, where everything was going. That's what we did a recording audition. I told you at Abbey Road in the 60s. we drove down in our old van, sort of falling apart, and we could see the white roller, the Aston Martin. The Beatles are in, and then we went in. There was these drivers sitting on benches in the foyer, sort of asleep, and we were like little kids at the door listening. Couldn't work out. It was their experimental days. We
Yeah.
couldn't work out what was going on. And we heard someone move, and we ran away like little school kids. And I wish I'd have had a camera, turn around,
Oh,
and
right.
and, Ge-
Right.
and when George Martin walked out the control room, went, oh, like that. It'd
Did
been a
take
great,
pictures. That
great
would have
photograph.
that would have been, oh man, that would
Yeah,
have been
but
so.
I mean, just phenomenal, really. And I never realised until a few years ago, Greg. You think that their sort of career was over like 30 years. It was
Yeah.
only like about 8 years.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
you think what
e-
or
e-
everything what they came, what they turned out in 8 years.
That's right.
That's
Exactly.
amazing.
It
It's
it is.
incredible.
It is. What output they had. Yeah, they were just
Uh,
cranking it
well, the
out.
two writers like they had, in the
Yeah.
same band,
Right. Right.
incredible. Yeah,
It was.
yeah.
Well, not to knock George. I think George is. I mean, he didn't get the credit.
Oh
He
yeah,
was he was
I
what relegated to like one
well,
track,
he was
one
pushed to
song,
the
an album.
background. I
Yeah, he
mean,
was in the
he,
background. Yeah. Yeah.
he,
I wish they would have
he
given
had
him.
he had John Lennon and Paul McCartney to sort of compete with,
Yeah. I wish
but
they would have let him contribute a little bit more.
yeah, I
Song.
think that would have been great. But he
Yeah.
did okay. He did all
Yeah.
right
But
when he
still.
came up with it. But there's a sarcastic comment from John Lennon I read somewhere. I think it's when My Sweet Lord was #1 all over the world,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
apparently Paul McCartney said to John, "Look at this, what George is doing. This is
Uh,
fantastic, eh?" And apparently Lennon's comment was, "He's got to do it again."
okay.
He
Right.
couldn't even
Right.
acknowledge it, but apparently that was Lennon. That
Right.
was the
That's how
yeah,
he was.
that's the way he was,
That's the way he was. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, well, George did have his nice solo career, so yes, yes, he
Oh
did.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
How did you, Andy Scott of Sweet, and Suzi Quatro get together?
Yeah,
A trio of glam rock stars, right there.
yeah, that was Susan's husband, Rainer, who was a big German promoter. We do know he had these big package shows in Germany a few times a year. It's the summer times, big open air shows, and Andy Scott Sweet were always on Susie, who he ended up marrying,
Yeah,
Rainer,
yeah,
and Slade, the later Slade with Dave Hill and the other guys, and. We always used to have a great time sort of talking, afterwards, in the hotel. And it was Rainer who said, this would be a great band. There was Andy, Susan, myself talking, and that it was forgotten. And
yeah.
then it was a few weeks later, Greg, Andy Scott called me. He said, "Remember what Susan's husband said?" He said, "Are you up for it?" I said, "That sounds great. So we're not doing anything." He said, "Well, we're basically doing cover songs, and there's a couple of things that me and Susie have written." Yeah, great. So what we did, we went to Peter Gabriel's studio.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and you can live there. You can live there, basically eat there, but and you record when you want. Fantastic studios, Greg, fantastic, and that's where we did the album, and it was released. It charted in Australia, and Susie too was there every year. So Ryan, Susie's husband, said, "How do you feel about opening for Susie? You, Susie, and Andy open up, and then Susie go and gets changed and goes on and do her show." And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It actually charted the album that we made together. It
Oh,
charted
the
in Australia,
2017. Did it? Did
and
it?
we had it was a great tour. We finished in Sydney Opera House, at Sydney Opera House. It was a great tour, so well organised, Greg.
Oh, that's nice when they are like that.
Yeah,
Well, Andy's the lone surviving member of Sweet, isn't he?
yeah, that's amazing. When you think some of the people that have gone, yeah, but he's not too well at the moment.
He's
Him and his suite were booked to do a tour in Australia. I think it was earlier this year or maybe last year. I can't remember actually, Greg. But they did it without him.
okay.
He didn't feel he was health-wise, he was up to it.
Right.
I
I
spoke, I
had,
spoke, I spoke to him a few times, and he always says to me, "I don't know how much longer I can carry on doing this."
okay,
I
right.
said, but he's okay at the moment, but
Yeah. I,
I think
I
he has relapses, sort of
relapses.
thing. Yeah.
I had somebody I talked to said they saw him somewhere, and recently, it wasn't too long ago, and he said he still has the perfect hair. He still has
Yeah, yeah, it's
that.
amazing. It almost looks not real,
Yeah.
but it is. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but now it's grey, it's white now.
Right. Right.
But great player actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and
Actually,
what?
he was with his band at the time. He was in the Bahamas the same time as we were.
Oh,
But,
okay. Now,
but they were being paid, and
yeah.
they were in a decent club, and they had decent accommodation.
Right. Right. Now, those are
But we
you.
used to meet on the beach
Right. Now,
every
you
afternoon, sort of thing. But
Slade. Slade.
that was a great time when we recorded the album together and toured Australia. It was
Right.
good because
Right
I've
now.
been so long playing with the same guys with Slade all those years,
Yeah. Exactly.
and it was a nice experience, Greg.
Right. Right. Sweet and Slade, my two
Yeah.
favorite glam rock bands in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah. It's funny, because the only time we ever met this week was if we did Top of the Pops in
Oh,
England, the TV show.
yeah.
We never met otherwise, sort of
Right.
thing.
Isn't that
But
something? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but they're great guys, and like sadly, as you said, there's only Andy left.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the occasional flames. Who all's in the band?
Oh, how can I say? There's actually the three piece in it. There's the Paul and Les. Paul's mainly a poet from the north of England, and and Les is just a singer guitarist. He does a lot of sort of solo things, and I'm trying to think how we came together. We sort of, I think it was Paul who sent me an email and explained that he'd written he's a poet mainly, and he'd written a few poems about Slade, and we met, and Les was there, and we just it was in like a pub in lunchtime, and we just there was some equipment there. We just started jamming. I said, "This sounds good. Perhaps we can do something," and that's what we did really. And there's some more things in the pipeline there,
Oh, okay.
Greg. I'm
You've
going to record again.
you've had a few releases with the occasional flames.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
it's
I like
great.
I like the last one, the 2023. Never mind the baubles.
Oh,
I
yeah,
like that
that's it.
title.
Yeah, that's
A
good.
nod to the never mind the Bollocks. Bollocks. Yeah, I couldn't get
From
that out. Yeah,
Sex
Sex
Pistols.
Pistols.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah,
that's it. And we had a good fun together, and the tracks went down really quickly as well.
yeah, yeah.
So it was nice. It's just a small studio in the north of England where the Paul and Les live. And no, it was good fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Another,
we've been speaking via email over the last few days, so we're going to get together again, and sort of for some more stuff. I've got lyrics, and Paul send them to us, and we get something together. So no,
well, hopefully something
so what happens next time?
coming up.
Yeah,
Another musician who passed recently, Joey Molland from
oh,
Badfinger. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That
no,
was one
no,
of my favorite bands
yeah,
too.
no, sort of.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? Because and also the singer, what's his name? Is the one who wrote. Well, I can't think of his name now. He wrote "No Matter What," no matter what.
Oh, 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 Pete Ham. Pete Ham.
Yeah, he committed suicide.
Right. I
I
saw the
I found that. Sorry.
documentary about Badfinger. I said,
Oh, did you? I don't know this.
it's not a recent one. And there's a couple on YouTube, but it was
Okay.
pretty
Yeah.
thorough. Yeah, how
Well,
I mean, the record label just really screwed them. Yeah, they really
yeah.
screwed them royally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but apparently the one where his wife left him or something, and he couldn't handle it, and he
yeah,
sadly, yeah.
yeah. And the other Tom, what's his name? He also committed suicide.
Holland, was it Holland or something
Yeah,
like?
yeah. He also,
Has he gone as well?
yeah. All of them
Oh,
are all the
oh,
members. Yeah,
oh,
all of them.
wow! They made some great records.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
They made some great records. Yeah.
And if you like the Beatles, you would like
That's
Badfinger.
it. I think there's a lot,
Right.
a lot of influence
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, we'll talk about Dawn and the Dreamers
yeah.
with Danish musicians. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's sort of really good this show because I never know where they're talking about me. But but we have a great time together. It's
Yeah,
nice in a studio where we all go in and play together.
yeah,
Sort of record all at the same time. We
yeah,
go in, and it just brings back lots of memories doing that. Those sort of, record the bass and drums first and whatever. We just all go in together and play together.
yeah.
And yeah, and we did just I think it's 2 or 3 days ago, we did the video for the new release, you
Oh,
know, so yeah,
and
but no, it's good fun and
it's
great guys.
yeah, and it's wild just to hear their influences. I mean, they grew up a lot of them, I'm sure, with UK music,
Yeah, yeah,
American music, and
that's it. I think that's right,
yeah, so they
but
have that.
yeah, I think you'll find a lot. I mean, I know in the States the influence on British music was a lot. Was quite heavy. But then again, I was influenced by American music. Because I always used to. I love, like I said, I would have always loved to have sat in on the Tamla Motown sessions
Oh,
just to watch them. What? Because it was Kim Fowley who said, it's the same guys on every record, and I never heard
uh-huh.
that before. The what?
Yeah.
What they say, and when you know that, you can hear it.
Yes, yes,
I mean, that
exactly.
drummer was incredible. Was it Jamie? No, that's the bass player. It was Jamie Jameson. But I mean, just incredible records.
Yeah, yeah.
Incredible
That
records.
that would be. Well, you after you left Slade, the original in 2020, you formed your own band, Don Powell's Slade,
Yeah.
uh, and that was right in time for COVID, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. God, talk about perfect timing.
Yeah,
Sort of
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah.
But we managed to get some recordings done in Birmingham because the other guys are from around there, So yeah, and we got some more. Funny enough, I've got Craig, who's the bass player, and not Craig, but a sort of a Craig, who's the bass player. He sent me a couple of ideas, and I'll be doing the drums next week.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
so things like that. Yeah, so
okay.
it's nice to keep busy.
I was gonna say you stay off the streets that way too, as they
Oh
say.
yeah, yeah, sort of, yeah, sort of, and I'm a bit surprised if one time my wife hasn't changed the locks, but no, she's so
Oh,
supportive.
oh, that would be,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's funny though. That's funny. Well, okay. Well, it's nice to hear that you still have things in the works. And
yeah, it's
that's
wonderful. If you'd have said to me a few years ago that I'd still be doing this like it is, I would have just laughed at you, but
right.
it's wonderful. I think what it is, Greg, as I've been the old phrase. I've been there, done it. Got the sort of got the book. And it's just great fun.
Yeah, you're having fun.
It's great fun. Really is. It's sort
Yeah.
of it's wonderful.
Right, right. Exactly. No regrets, none of that. It's just
Yeah.
you've enjoyed the ride. Yeah.
Yeah, I've enjoyed
And
the ride. I've been there,
yeah,
sort of got the medal, what have you, and yeah, and it's just great fun.
yeah,
It's amazing all the years we were touring, Greg, and on with other bands, and they didn't want to be there. They sort of think, I thought, how can you go
yeah,
on stage and play when you don't even want to be here,
right.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
I would never understand that.
No, no.
I'll never
No,
understand it.
no, me either. No.
Yeah.
Because it's all one
Yeah,
thing.
but I mean, it's
Yeah,
just great fun of
yeah.
doing something, that I love doing, playing
Right,
drums and traveling the world. It's just incredible.
right, right.
And meeting my heroes. I was like a gibberish wreck. Sort of my heroes. Yeah, but yeah, no,
Uh,
great.
well, do you ever hear from like fans coming up to you and being a gibberish wreck trying to
Oh
talk
yeah, it's so funny. It's just funny
to
because sometimes it's a bit embarrassing, especially if you're in company somewhere, and you're sort of like that, and
you?
you don't know how to react, you don't know what to
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
It's
Right.
weird, sort of, yeah. Yeah,
Right.
but I had one kid come up once and he said, I was out in town or something like that, and this guy came up and he was saying, are you the drummer with Slade? I said, yes. He went, I think you're rubbish. I thought,
He,
well,
s-
oh,
he said
I
that,
said,
really?
yeah, I said, well, don't beat around the bush, come straight to the point.
Tell me what you really feel. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
Which
God.
I don't know what makes them think. Yeah, I mean, I have to laugh,
Yeah.
sort of thing. Yeah, but
Yeah, you
yeah.
do.
And there's
You
one
do.
time I was in the supermarket and this guy comes up. He was a fan from the 70s. And he was obviously his little daughter. She was about 14, 15, and we were talking. And he said to his daughter, "Do you know who this is?" And she says, "No," well, she wouldn't know. He says, "You know that group Slade?" I said, "Oh yeah, don't they sing about Christmas?" You know.
No messing about.
Yeah,
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 well, as
24 hits, and there's only that one.
that's the only thing.
Yeah,
There you go. Oh
great.
wow. Well, Don, can you think of anything else you'd like to mention?
I
Or
don't know. I mean, let's keep in touch, Greg, and
okay,
then
we
if
will.
it's okay with you, I'll
Yeah,
just send things through to you if there's something
yeah,
going on, and
right,
if that's
right.
okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
And keep me
I'll just keep you, informed of what's going
abreast.
on, sort of thing. Anything that's there, that
Right.
yeah,
Let
okay.
let me, yeah, keep me up, and then send me any new updates, any if you can, or if you want to, recordings, or
Yeah,
things
well,
like that, files, things like
do
that,
that.
if
Well,
you feel like it, if you feel.
email me an address, Greg,
Okay, yeah, I will, I will.
and I'll forward things as and when, sort of thing,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
keep you up to speed. And
yeah,
some
let
of
me
the
know.
recordings I can send them via emails, sort of things like that,
Right, right, there you go.
so that makes it easier.
That's
But
right.
anything, but I'll keep you up to speed, Greg, on things that are happening, if that's
Okay,
okay. And
okay.
great. It's been great, Greg. I really enjoyed it.
Well, I appreciate it, and I enjoy
It's been
doing these.
wonderful.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Don.
and
Okay.
I'll keep you up to speed on what's going on.